right. Welcome back to Within the Rep. This is episode number 19. It's been a minute, but we're back today. Got my friend down from the States on, Jimmy Baydoun, my good friend. So we've known each other for the past few years, just through social media, through the bodybuilding world. So great to have him on today. Happy to have you, my man.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, man.
Yeah, so we're going to dive into a little bit of gut health, functional health, a little bit of the bodybuilding side of things as well, performance, dive into peptides a little bit. So we'll get right into things.
Let's do it.
So I know I've watched your stories for years, my man. You're a bodybuilder, used to be a bodybuilder maybe,
Yes.
and kind of stepped away from it now.
Yeah. Yes.
So, and you've dealt with colitis in the past, right?
So got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis about 5 years now. Something you have forever. It's an autoimmune condition. Yeah, basically been dealing with that and bodybuilded successfully for a few years with it. And then it just got to the point to where started weighing out my options and it just wasn't worth it for me to keep on going. And I could say, I'm proud and satisfied with what I was able to accomplish in bodybuilding, and I was able to leave that behind me and move forward.
Yeah, you were a really good bodybuilder. Who was your last coach you worked with when you finished bodybuilding?
Phil Viz.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I always remember you worked with him, and that's how I believe I found out about you. And one of my friends was working with Phil Viz as well. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. But walk me through kind of how being diagnosed with colitis affected you in your bodybuilding, your approach to gut health. I'm sure it's been a big factor in how you approach things with your clients now as well in your coaching space. So let's dive into
So
that.
I'll give a little rundown on how it happened. Now, of course, autoimmunity runs in my genetics on both sides of the family. And I've always had digestive issues since a little kid. Always had a crazy fast metabolism, so got away with eating as much as I wanted, and always ate junk food as a kid growing up and was able to burn right through it. So obviously that played a role. Now, being in school at the time, I was trying to get into med school. I was taking about 20 credits. Didn't have anywhere near the knowledge I have today. I was taking a really high script of Adderall at the time, upwards of 50, 60 milligrams a day. And I was overdosing on caffeine. Unknowingly, I was using these little Neo enhancer, those little squirting things. And I was probably using upwards of 800 to 1,000 mgs of caffeine throughout that. And then just going to the gym at night and taking pre-workout. So really just threw my system into overdrive, just studying all the time and then putting my all into bodybuilding as well. High inflammatory diet in some sense. There was a lot of fruit juices, a lot of honey, a lot of sugars, not processed, but at the same time, it's not ideal. I was trying to get my calories in and just being on all those stimulants wasn't ideal with the appetite. And then, just with all the pushing, it eventually threw my system into overdrive. And then before I knew it, I was seeing blood. It's real hard to get with a GI doctor. So I was on a wait list for like 2 or 3 months. And at the time, I was also starting my coaching business. And I went at the time back in like 2020, 2021, went from 0 to 55 clients in a month. Still don't know how that happened at the time. There wasn't many coaches around. Maybe that's why. So I was losing an immense amount of blood, not knowing why I was losing blood. So I was relying on more Adderall and more caffeine just to, blunt all I was pretty much becoming anemic. So low iron. And I really just had to keep myself awake, attend to the clients and then keep, getting good grades in school and stuff. So after about 3 months before I finally got in with the GI specialist, I had accumulated so much damage. And that's really how I found Phil Viz at the time. He was also somebody who had a minor case of colitis, nothing like mine, but he was able to at least show me how to start living with it and to get back into bodybuilding. And I was really thankful for that at the time. And I was able to bodybuild successfully for a couple years. I'd say after that couple years, I noticed that I had to really live in a box. Now, not in a box like, how do I say this? I had to take away more from my life than I was used to taking away just due to the colitis. And it just didn't sit well with me. After a few years, I was like, if I can't handle the stresses of running a business, running a coaching business, and the stresses of bodybuilding. Now, bodybuilding was never a mental stress. It's just a physical stress, especially for me. I loved the lifestyle. It was very laxed for me, but it came to the point to where I had to weigh out my odds and it just wasn't worth it to continue going, especially My last show, I had a severe colitis flare backstage the last week, and I was backed up for like 3 or 4 days, and it really hindered my look, and I remember asking God for a sign, and I said, "If this is not meant for me, give me a sign," and that I flared up the next day. So I was like, "Okay, I'm content with where I'm at," and I just moved past from there.
Man, that'd be
Now
tough to deal with it.
yeah, now has it changed the way that I coach people? Absolutely. Now, it didn't only expand, the amount of the type of clients that I work with. Now, after bodybuilding came back, I lived in California at the time. Then I came back to Michigan, opened up a different business with my dad at the time, came back here to help him. And it was something came from bodybuilding and then came into a completely different type of business while trying to balance my coaching at the same time. That caused a lot of stress that I wasn't used to, and that really pushed the colitis to a point to where I really didn't know how to control it any longer. So I went to a GI specialist and finally succumbed to meds, which were they had me on a JAK inhibitor. Now, this caused more havoc than anything. It depleted my immune system. I was getting deathly sick once or twice a month, so I came off of it, started losing a lot of size, started getting really depressed over that, and then I found my way across Jason Theobald, and I hired him last year, which he also mentored me, and he showed me really how to work the autoimmune cases and how to work the gut right. And now I could say gladly in the past year since then, I've pulled upwards of over 30 GI maps with clients, and every time I pull a GI map, I learn more and more. They're all so unique. They're all like a puzzle that you're trying to solve. It's my favorite thing to do is really work the gut now, and especially tying it in with bodybuilding. The few bodybuilders that I got that pulled GI maps, I noticed that progress is made immensely easier after fixing what's wrong under the hood. Now, there's a lot of different areas with autoimmunity. There's different buckets that you can focus on. Of course, you got your stress bucket, which is the most important. We'll start there. With stress, the number one thing is, let's say you're getting pushed into fight or flight, or you have some sort of anxiety. First thing that happens is you're suppressing the vagus nerve. Vagus nerve is connected straight down the spinal cord, right in the brainstem, into the gut, which is composed of the enteric nervous system, which is the largest nervous system that we have as a human. So they're communicating right back and forth. The first thing that happens is stomach acid gets blunted, stomach acid comes down, food will start fermenting in the gut, sitting there longer, causing the liver and gallbladder to work harder, the pancreas to work harder. Eventually, those are going to start burning out, and then you're going to have insufficient enzyme production there, insufficient bile flow, and then undigested food is going to start flowing into the small intestine, causing SIBO. So you got dysbiosis, then you got SIBO, and then that's going to play a downstream effect into the colon and cause more inflammation there. And then also you got different types of microbes that overgrow, which push the system into autoimmunity as well. So you have stress that'll push you into autoimmunity. You got different microbes that'll push you into autoimmunity. And then of course we have environmental toxins, which is we could go on into that for days, which we won't discuss today. But basically what I noticed is once I pulled that GI map at first with Jason, that's when I seen 80% of my symptoms go. And then also just hitting the low hanging fruits, being in a morning routine, getting sunlight in the eyes, proper cortisol rhythm, delaying
Mhm.
caffeine for a couple hours. Things like that really played a huge role in just getting grounding in, bare feet on the grass, whether it's a grounding mat, grounding sheet, things like that. I noticed those all play a huge role. Belly breathing before meals, things like that, just trying to bring myself into a parasympathetic state has been a game changer. And then just trying to, teach my clients that as well, no matter what their goals are, everything starts in the GI tract. The GI tract is your second brain. So I try to explain that to them. It's very hard for the average client to understand that and to know the importance of that. And so they deal with a GI issue. But for the most part, people see my own progress when I do heal my gut, whenever I've healed it and they see my physique completely transform in days. It builds that trust. And then they go ahead and they pull the GI map, we correct it, and then I watch their physique flourish.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I was just kind of smiling because you you reiterate a lot of the stuff I talk about, and a lot of people kind of think, a lot of the stuff is a little wooey, grounding and all those things, but it's nice to hear someone else, who learned from someone different than me as well. You believe the exact same things and you've shown it proven to work. So that's really cool. With the vagus nerve, do you do any like vagus nerve stimulation, like humming or anything like that?
Yeah. So humming, whether that's a 3-minute song twice a day, whether it's gargling a little longer with my mouthwash in the morning, at night, things like that. Getting a cold shower in the morning. Whenever I take a shower, I switch it to the ice cold water and I let it go over my eyes and back of my neck, things like that. Ice baths can work pretty well as long as the nervous system is not too freaked out and you're not in there too long. You got to assess your tolerance. But yeah, no, definitely stimulating that vagus nerve is a real thing, and, people kinda laugh when I put it in their program at first, but then it's like, I don't see their symptoms improving until they start actually doing what I say, and then they start seeing it work. They're amazed every time.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you implement you probably don't implement it in everyone's plan, probably the people who you know are
No,
more
no, no,
diligent.
no, just the mainly just the functional case. I don't wanna freak people out and stress them out on, like, the little nuances.
Yeah.
Because you really won't have a client retention at that point. They'll be, "This is too complicated." Now, the average person that I work with is healthy, thank God, knock on wood. Now, when I do get these functional cases, and they have been expanding over the past year as the, word of mouth has gotten out that I've worked with, different types of autoimmune cases and gut cases and so forth. It's been, pretty cool to it's not a one size fits all, so I'll kind of have to take somebody's, like, daily schedule, their routine, see what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and create them a little blueprint that will accommodate to what their day-to-day and their health issue calls for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I deal with some of the same things, like, personally, I bodybuild as well, right? So, I don't have any, like, diagnosed gut issues, but I do notice when, like, I just pulled all the sugars from my diet because I got really sick about a week ago, sick for about 12 days. So before that, pushing up in body weight, about 265, I believe, and got sick and then just broke out in acne, which I'm still clearing up. And my skin gets really bad as well. So pulled all the sugars, pulled all the glutens from my diet, almost in almost improvement the next day, still clearing it up. I mean, it was really bad, but everything starts in the gut.
100%, man. Yeah, and especially, like, with that gluten, I know not every this doesn't apply to everybody, but a lot of times skin will clear up and the acne will come down just because they do probably have elevated zonulin, which they wouldn't know until they tested, of course. Now, what does that mean? It means that tight junctions in the large intestine, the colon, are separated due to seed oils, processed sugars, and processed oils, and gluten, of course. Now, what happens is it allows toxins to enter into the bloodstream, and that's really where that comes from. I mean, in most cases, a lot of times it can be liver stress too, which they do go hand in hand.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be honest. Most people who are consuming gluten are probably not consuming a quality carb source, probably a processed carb source, whether that's pasta, English muffins, things like that. I would lean to say, some bakeries have quality sourdough, things along those lines. But other than that, it's pretty tough to find a quality gluten source,
Very hard. It's the hardest thing.
right? So from a functional health standpoint, yeah, the gut is the foundation of everything, really. Immunity,
Uh-huh.
hormones, mental health. And how does most conventional medicine seem to get this wrong, in your opinion?
Symptom masking instead of root cause analysis. Now, conventional medicine, of course, we need it. I'm not going to sit here and be one of those who bash on it because us as functional nutritionists, we can't go and diagnose someone with heart disease. We can't go and diagnose someone with Hashimoto's, even though we know what it looks like on labs. Now, the thing about it is I don't want to say they got to keep people sick, but in other words, they got to keep people sick to keep their money flow coming, which
Mhm.
is sad as it sounds, the God honest truth. Now, what they do is they take a bunch of symptoms. Somebody, let's say, has Hashimoto's and they label it as hypothyroidism. Instead of looking at the root causes of why that could be, they're usually giving somebody levothyroxine, just to symptom mask. That's just one example. Now, that's where I think they get it wrong. Is it's just like putting a bunch of band-aids on bullet wounds, and eventually it's going to leak out. And it's just kind of keeping somebody in a state of like they don't feel good. Like, even though they're staying alive, like, there's a difference between lifespan and health span, I say. So, conventional medicine is all about the lifespan. They wanna just keep you alive, whereas we are, let's say a person is gonna live to 80, 85 regardless, they're gonna feel much better being with a functional practitioner correcting all these root cause issues as their health span is going to increase. So that's where I think functional medicine, or not functional, general medicine gets it wrong. And ultimately, I do see a good future for us to be able to work together. The only issue is majority of people in that realm are a little hard headed and they don't like to admit that this is the case.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, well, I don't have any bad blood against doctors. I think doctors are out there for good cause. But I think some of the practices, and it's been, I mean, people have spoken about it. They're not about productivity, they're about profits over everything, a more productive environment, better equipment just moves things along faster and, you know,
Exactly. You nailed
less
it there.
time they can make money, right? So
Right.
it's a sad, and
It is.
recently, I've had a few doctors come on my social media being incredibly rude. I don't understand this, but unfortunately, your credentials and degrees, it doesn't prove your argument correct, So you don't have to come and be disrespectful.
100%.
I'm just providing quality information to people, and thousands of people are grateful for it. I mean, I have thousands of conversations that is evident of that. And it's like
Right.
they come on my page and I notice they have like 100 followers. It's like, why do you
Oh
have
my.
such bad blood against me,
Always.
because I'm providing quality information to people, and in your 10-minute visit that you charge for, they don't get any actionable advice, any way to move forward, but they get more actionable advice in a 90-second Instagram reel, you know?
Exactly. You nailed it right on the head there. And it's like anytime you're doing anything good, positive, beneficial, it's gonna come with hate. Always. Even if you're benefiting the masses, you gotta expect a little bit of hate.
Right.
Now, luckily, thankfully, I haven't come across any bad doctors on my page, only, nice supportive ones who want to work hand in hand. Well, that is a blessing in that case. And there is plenty of great doctors who are really knowledgeable and they do serve their purpose and they understand, what their position is and what my position is. And, they're willing to work hand in hand. And that's like what we need more of. That's what I really want to see in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had doctors review my blood work analysis, things like that, looked at the improvements we've made in lipid markers, getting guys off statins, etc., and, praise the work that we've done, question how it's been done, but it's a thing. It's like, let's get back to basics, like you said, fight or flight, the primal instinct of a human. We want to live a natural life, These things are pretty, wake up, get sunlight, circadian rhythm, right? Eat healthy whole foods, right? Our body doesn't want to live on prescriptions, We want to live naturally. That's what
100%.
produces a healthy, energetic body, right? Most people rely. I mean, I'm a bodybuilder, so a little bit.
On the extreme side of things, but
Yeah,
for a
exactly.
reason,
But for the most part, I mean, that's not what the human body wants either. That's pushing it to a place it doesn't want to be, right?
of
That's what
course.
makes it challenging.
Course, yeah. And that's what makes it so special too. It's not for everybody, Do I miss it? Sometimes, absolutely, I do. Would I ever go back? No, just because I'm kind of content in some sense of with what I did in bodybuilding, even though I didn't win anything special. Although I could use every excuse in the world and say, I was off and I had a colitis flare and blah blah blah. But just looking back at the pictures, when I started bodybuilding as a kid, to like see what I actually accomplished and what could have been. It's really satisfying to look back at and know that I got as far as physique wise as I imagined. Because with how I ended up looking in the end of things, that's really what I was envisioning as I was coming up. So in that sense, that's really what gave me the peace of mind to be able to walk away. But do I miss it? Absolutely. I do in some sense. 100%.
Yeah, it would very challenging thing to walk away from. Bodybuilders, especially dedicated bodybuilders who've done it for a long time, work with coaches. I mean, I think most of us are deeply passionate about it, and the thought of stepping away from it is a hard thing to think about, Like,
It
what am
is.
I
Yeah.
gonna do, right?
Yeah.
So, that's why I get a hobby now.
Absolutely, and luckily, I thank God I have a few hobbies, so I stay pretty busy.
Yeah, no, for sure. You gotta have something to fall back on. I think with bodybuilding, I got this from Jordan Jordan Peters as well. Just always have bodybuilding just teaches the pursuit of progression, like daily progression, inevitable progression. So I think even if you move away from bodybuilding and you still have that mindset, I think life's always going to be fun because you're always going to have something to, in a sense, attack and keep pursuing and moving forward, right? Like always climbing that hill, whether it's education or maybe jujitsu or something else, right? Maybe you start running ultra marathons, so just another
Exactly.
pursuit, right? Find
Yeah,
that
always.
pursuit and
Yeah,
progress.
looking back, I know some bodybuilders who deal with health issues or who have had to give it up. It doesn't sit well with them losing their physique and losing all that size. Now, people always ask me how I handle it mentally so well, and I always tell them it's not really about what I built physically. It's about what I acquired mentally from it, and that never ever leaves. And I'm so grateful for bodybuilding because I would not be anywhere near the man I am today without it. And it's just that simple.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Shaped me as well, without a doubt.
But it's that
So let's get back to the gut talk. So what do you think the most overlooked signs are that, your gut is slowly starting to fail you?
brain fog, fatigue, especially when labs look normal. Underactive thyroid, as majority of T4 to T3 conversion happens right in the gut. Bloating after water and meals. Stress resilience going down, so things that used to not stress a human starting to stress them. Immense cravings suddenly. I noticed that one is always tied back to the gut in some sense. And then also estrogen dominance, especially in males. Like when a male is estrogen dominant, there's something going on in the gut. Now, obviously, when it comes to the female, the hormones are much more complex and it could be a slew of things. But for the most part, estrogen dominance is usually something in the liver, beta glucogonderase, which shows right on the GI map too. So a lot of times, it's best just to test and not guess and see what's really going on. But yeah, no, really, the stress resilience is probably, if I had to name one, is the number one thing that I notice is somebody's stress resilience just tanking. What would you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with all those. The only other thing I would add is like skin, getting worse, acne getting worse, which I mean can be signs of many things, even estrogen dominance, right? So
It all ties back in the gut somehow.
honestly, I don't want to plug a brand or anything, but I'll plug Eminent Bowel Boost. Like when I'm using that, I'm like thinking maybe that's why my gut got bad because I stopped using it and like almost like a week later, like the acne started to come and then I got sick and then I
Yeah, it
still
opens up
don't
that
have it in. I was
bladder.
driving home from the gym today.
That's
I was like,
pretty similar to eminent bile boost. This is beta plus
oh yeah,
bile and pancreatic enzyme.
right.
Just took one with my meal now, so this is helping move food move through my gut a little faster, so nothing ferments. But just got
Yeah.
my updated GI map yesterday, actually. So out of all the GI maps I've seen, this is the most interesting one I've ever seen, and it really answered all my questions. So is why I couldn't really get out of my colitis flare. So I mean, I did have a GI map last year with Jason, and it was destroyed. I mean, I had yeast, I had dysbiosis, SIBO, everything, high commensals, you name it, elevated zonulin, calprotectin, occult blood, of course, because I have open ulcers. Now this time I didn't have any, major dysbiosis, nothing flagged, no yeast, SIBO, nothing like that. But what I did have is low Akkermansia, like bottom barrel tanked Akkermansia. And then one of them is the butyrate producing microbe. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, which was also bottom barreled. And those two are crucial for gut barrier and gut lining. Now, I would have never known if I not tested. I probably would have ran a SIBO protocol because I started to get a little bit of bloating suddenly, and I was like, maybe I should get a GI map. But now, just because those two were bottom barreled, my calprotectin, which is the main colon inflammatory marker, was skyrocketed past 3,000 when it's supposed to be under 173. And last year, even with all the immune activating overgrowths and the dysbiosis and SIBO and yeast, my calprotectin was only around a 7-800. So it really goes to show that there's certain microbes in our GI tract that contribute to how well that our gut lining can be repaired and how, much how stable it is and how much the integrity, what is the word? How, basically stable it is, how strong it
Mhm.
is and how much it, how well it can re-inoculate itself. Now, I've been relying on peptides for the past few months, and I was noticing like I was having to use a good amount of peptides compared to the past to be able to keep myself above, water when it came to not losing a lot of blood and, trying to keep myself stable. But yeah, no, just something that simple really just goes to show, just repleting a couple of undergrown microbes is all it's gonna take.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree. And I would say some of the other symptoms too would be like upper bloating, like in your chest, obviously lower bloating, um, having gas, like abnormal amounts of gas. That's definitely not normal, especially if it's, not, it shouldn't be like really off smelling either. So those are probably good signs as well. I'm big with that. I think just running like it's not too much of a complex protocol just to run like a kill off phase in the gut and just kind of reset it. Taking the time to do that and, breaking down biofilms, helping clear everything out as well just helps so much. It's not even a complex, it's like 21 to 35 days and get it done. Low FODMAP foods, start reintroducing foods, start reintroducing fermented foods, reset the gut biome. Simple task. When I've done that, phenomenal results. Your energy improves dramatically, everything improves, everything
Everything.
across the board. Like you can list
It's amazing.
everything. Sleep improves, libido improves, clarity improves, so
You got nothing to lose doing it.
yeah, it's a simple mover. I would highly recommend. Most people, I'd say the vast majority of people have gut dysbiosis in some sense, just because of the foods we do eat, mainly highly processed foods, seed oils. Someone comes on my page yesterday, like, you instantly lost me when you said seed oils.
Oh my god.
Oh my God, dude. Get out of here.
Always gotta be somebody. I've
Right?
gotten that on my page quite a few times.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever, right? Believe what you want. If you want to run
Absolutely.
that way, run that way.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to colitis specifically, what are the biggest levers people can pull beyond just managing symptoms with medications? What peptides have you leaned on in the past?
So BPC 157 will be the biggest mover. Now, we got two different forms of BPC 157. We got the oral, we got the injectable. Now, when you have an open ulcer, you got to look at that as a wound. Now, I've noticed the oral BPC 157 does nothing for it, at least personally. I noticed when injecting near the site, I have seen some benefits there. Now, the oral BPC 157, the inflammation in my colon comes down. And not to sound too graphic, but I could tell just by what I see in the toilet. I could tell because the liner starts coming out of me and it starts re-inoculating itself. Basic zinc carnosine works wonders. Lorazepam, if they have elevated zonulin, lorazepam is a big mover there, especially paired with BPC 157. KPV is good for inflammatory control. I haven't seen too much benefit from it personally, but I still keep it in. And then I also use a low dose naltrexone, which isn't a peptide, but it's they use it to get people off of opioids in a higher dose. Now, it has great immune modulating effects. It has great uh, gut lining repair effects. It's great for inflammation. A basic high absorption turmeric is great. And then another thing with for anybody with any type of autoimmune case, whether it be colitis, Crohn's, Hashis, Graves, rheumatoid, you name it, getting an MRT test pulled. So an MRT test is a true food sensitivity test, not like the basic food sensitivity test you'll go pull at like a doctor's office or something. This is really like those tests. If you eat eggs for a week, it's going to flag it. These tests show what is truly pushing your system into autoimmunity and really cranking the immune system up. That way, when somebody's in a flare, any type of autoimmune flare, they can really restrict their foods down to what is, really low on their MRT chart, and then they can slowly start reintroducing things. Now, I was always told to eat white rice, right? Because white rice isn't going to do anything to you, right? But then I pull an MRT chart and it's showing me that white rice is pushing my immune system into overdrive. And it's like, whoa, well, if I didn't have that test pulled, I would have never known. So I do think that's a really big benefit. And then an overlooked one is keeping up with their dental hygiene and going and making sure they have no root canals and cavities. A lot starts in the jaw and in the neck area. So that's a big one that is very overlooked and under spoke about. And that I'm definitely still learning more about that. Only reason I know about this is my best friend is a dentist, and he's giving me some insight there, and he wants to make me some type of mouth guard because I do have TMJ, and I've had TMJ since before the colitis, so I assume that has something to do with everything. But yeah, and then just really just hitting the low hanging fruits. Eating a healthy diet, being hard to tell somebody to control their stress, of course, but hitting the low hanging fruits, as in chew your food slowly. Take some deep belly breaths before, eating your meal. Start your day with sunlight, water, and electrolytes, and not coffee, and you're throwing your nervous system off right away. So just yeah, low hanging fruits,
Those things alone are gonna help manage stress though,
100%. Yeah, so it's the
right?
low hanging fruits. Yeah, you can't just tell someone to manage your stress because they don't know.
No, just like they need to learn how to take a moment for themselves. That's something I always talk about so much, you know? Like it's such a busy world we live in. It's only going to get busier. Things move so fast. You can never catch up, you know. FOMO's gone. Like if you missed it, you missed it,
Right.
right? So just you have to take a moment to slow down. These are simple processes, but it's hard for people to capitalize on them
It
because
is,
they're forgotten, you know? It's just like
and I
everybody's so caught in this
that's what
rat
I
race.
deal with. Like if I have anything that I need to work on, it's slowing down. Like I feel like I'm always rushing, even if there's no need to rush, even if I have nowhere to be. Whether I'm cooking a meal, whether I'm, getting to my tablet to do some check-ins when it living room is right across me. Like I could easily walk slowly, but I'm always in a rush and panicking. Then I have to stop and remind myself, hey, ground yourself.
Yeah.
Take a moment. The iPad's not going anywhere. Your air fryer is not flying away from you. The dishes aren't gonna explode in the sink. Just calm down for a second, take a moment, chillax, and then get back to it. That's
Yeah.
the game project.
For sure. I'm a bit of a hypocrite myself because I'm the same way, right? Like I do preach this stuff and, you know, it's a fact. It does help, but I can get caught up in the work too. Like the past few days just been grinding, just writing documents, making guides, things like that and something I'm passionate about, but I just get obsessed with doing it and I just working away for, you know, 12,
Yeah,
13
yeah,
hours and
yeah,
you know, I do have clients, I do get paid that way, but no one's paying me for that time, you know? It's just a passion that I have, and
100%.
yeah, it's right, you're right. You gotta take that you gotta, like, think, like, "Okay, stop for a second," and I'll always snap out of it at one moment, like, "Yeah, I gotta go do something for myself." Get outside, go for a walk, just go for find a trail, go walk for a bit, you know? Doesn't have to be long, but even just a 5-minute break helps so much, you know? Clear the
Yeah,
mind.
definitely.
Especially if you're stuck in your office doing work on the computer, like, getting outside is it's like having a coffee, it's just instant energy, instant mood enhancer, it's such a simple fix, but slips past most people, right?
Right. Sadly. I agree, man. 100%.
Yeah, and I use BPC 157 pretty, religiously, I do find it really helps with inflammation across the whole body. I do not believe in local pinning administration either. It works systemically, right?
It
So
does.
get those systemic effects and TB 500 as well daily for me. Always keep it in. KPV, I've had the same feelings. Like
Yeah.
I see like the research behind it and you know the pathways behind it, but I question if I really get the results, you know? I do notice like the inflammation and the like my joints and things clearing up a lot on BPC 157 and TB 500, but when I have KPV in, I'm just like questioning what if
I feel
it's
like
really
KPV is
doing
a little
anything.
more localized to the intestinal tract.
I think it might be personal. I think it might be personal too because I feel like I might get like a bit of an immune reaction from it, just like
Okay.
systemically
Okay.
as well.
Histamine response. Okay, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Now, I've noticed with the BPC 157, like, for example, if I have a shoulder injury and I'm trying to inject near my intestines, like with the localized effects, I won't get a localized effect in the intestine because let's say the shoulder injury is subsiding the intestinal injury. Now, this is just an analysis. This
Mhm.
is just me analyzing my body and its responses. I know it produces angiogenesis at the area. So we know that it's the formation of new blood vessels and such. Now, the way I look at it is anecdotally, we know if we're injecting it near an area that's said to have given a more nuanced, result. Now, the way I'm looking at it is the BPC 157 entering the system, needing to know, hey, if we have all these different types of areas of inflammation, where are we attacking it first?
Prime driver.
Right. So basically, I've noticed because I've experimented because like I could wake up one day and see blood, and the next day pin some BPC and not see blood. So it's gotten to the point to where I was really able to, analyze the response or reaction. So I figure, one day I'll pin it into my right hip area because I had a tight hip that day, although I was bleeding, and I didn't see anything happen with the blood. And then the next day I went and injected it into the area where the wound is, and I immediately seen about a 50% decrease in blood. So it could just be an analysis, it could just be a placebo, but that's just what I've noticed just in the past. Now, overusing anything, the effects lessen. So I'll never respond to BP57 the same way I did when I first started using it 5 years back.
Mhm. For sure. Again, and this is not medical advice. Please consult with your doctor. But I would say, like, yeah, I mean, pop it in your shoulder, pop it in your hip, whatever, close to site. But you definitely don't need to administer like in your forearms, close to your elbows, close to your knees. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I
Just
agree.
put it by your hip, put it in your quad where it's, you don't have to put it close to tendons and things like that. It's a dangerous situation. Come on. Most of these people don't even know how to reconstitute things or tell me what they're taking. They're just like, I'm taking what's my dosage? 30 IU. Okay.
Well, yeah, what does that mean?
What the fuck does that mean to me, man? Like,
Yeah, and the amount of peptide questions you probably get the same amount of peptide questions from randoms and the DMs all the time. And it's like, what are you taking? I'm taking 10 units. And it's like, what is 10 units?
10
I don't
units
know.
doesn't
The
mean
person who
anything to
gave
me.
me it told me today, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. I actually heard a recent case that a client, came to a coach, a friend of mine in the States, and she was working with a coach, and he was administering like the peptides she was taking, and she doesn't even know what really the cycle was or what she was taking. He was just like administering it. Like, what a wild thing. Who would,
That is wild.
I don't know
And
the coach she was working with, but that's
majority
the
of like
most
these
absurd thing I've ever heard.
yeah, majority of these influencers and coaches and clinics are just using peptides as a money grab, and they really don't understand physiology. And I'm not saying they don't know how to use specific peptides, but it's like their lack of basic fundamentals and basic human physiology is what's concerning, because there is definitely a 1 out of 10 case where they could be harming an individual with something, and they're completely unaware of why a person is having a specific side effect. Like somebody, getting low blood sugar type symptoms and dizzy on a MOTS-C, or somebody not responding to a MOTS-C because the membrane is destroyed and they need to start with an SS31, or somebody like me who has delayed gastric emptying because their immune system attacks the colon and they're giving them a GLP, causing more havoc on the system. So it is a gray area, and consult with your doctor.
Yeah, I just think it's the scariest thing about it is, well, it all starts with GLP-1s, right? It all starts there, and that's how like the vast majority of the population is introduced into peptides, I feel like, or maybe I figure that's how like the vast majority, no way around it. And then, everybody and their sister is selling them nowadays. Like everybody has a company. It's ridiculous.
It's an easy money grab.
Yeah, it's an easy money grab, but think about this. Everybody's selling them, everybody has them. It's such a gray market area. It's so popular, it's so trendy. It's not just bodybuilding now, it's literally everyone. Um,
The look
16-year-olds
smacking
to
crowd who,
80-year-olds,
yeah,
like it's absolutely wild for every case you could imagine. People who are just like drastically leaning on them as crutches. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. I do talk about them on my page, but I also preach a lot about the fundamentals and the foundational things. And those are
absolutely.
all the things you just mentioned, the simple movers, but they're not simple movers because most people let them slip right through their fingertips, like we talk about, right? It's just being able to implement them and be accountable and keep doing them and building this consistency and this structure and building this foundation to your body is built on instead of relying on these little ampules you're getting literally from China. You have no idea what your girlfriend's selling you, and you're just hoping for the best. And then you're gonna come back in 2 years' time and be like, yeah, I didn't solve anything. I need your help.
Right.
Like,
100%, man.
it's a scary fact because it's the thing. It's like the new tidal wave, it's the new trend, you know?
Yeah,
Except it's
peptides.
a little bit more extreme than like the keto trend or the carnivore diet or CrossFit or anything like that. Like, let's be real. It's pretty extreme and some of
I
the
mean, they're
stacks I
research
hear.
chemicals.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the stacks I hear like Gen Pop people are running, they're running like 9 or 10 things. I'm like, there's pro bodybuilders who are nowhere even near what you're taking. Like, what are you doing? I have no energy. I can't sleep. I'm trying to lose fat.
And sometimes they don't realize that, like, they're probably like, there's probably too many mitochondrial supports in there. They don't have these basic fundamental ideologies and knowledge bases to really understand what they're doing. And they're putting, they got SLU and MOTS-C and SS1 and RETA and all of these things at once. And, they're just getting like they're in overdrive at
Yeah,
that
your
point.
body has a conveyor belt and you're just loading it and you're loading it and you're loading it and you're not supporting the conveyor belt. You don't have enough people working with the conveyor belt to assist all these things to keep the conveyor belt moving, to keep the conveyor belt lubricated. And the conveyor belt eventually is going to fucking snap and everything's going to go everywhere. And then you're going to have a big mess to clean up.
Nailed it.
It's pretty simple. Like you can't like you're walking on glass. You're relying on crutches, you know? That's all they
Exactly.
are. They are
That
crutches. If you lose a dramatic amount of weight in a quick period of time, that's how fast the weight is going to go back on because you have developed no consistency, no structure, no more healthy relationship with food. You just suppressed your feelings, and those feelings are going to come back tenfold, right? Whereas if you just utilized it as a tool at like a micro dose, very low dose, just to sustain progress, and then build a whole food structured diet, build consistency, build a healthy relationship with food, understand that you do not have to diet on like 1,800, 2,000 calories, that you can eat more food and you can still go for off plan meals and enjoy life. And there is sustainability in this. After a certain set period of time, you look exactly the way you want to look your whole life and you feel good naked and you look good at the beach and it sticks.
you can't go wrong. Can't go
Like,
wrong.
then there's people who want to rely on them and go from 300 pounds to 240, back up to 280, back down to 260, back up to 300, back down to 280. Oh, me too. And he came back to me and said, hey man, I can only afford the stack right now. I think I'm just going to do it myself. I know exactly what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. So
It's just it's gonna be a repetitive pattern, just like you just told me. You just
yeah, he
told me the pattern.
basically something similar. He's lost 100 pounds before, so he's done the work before, yo-yoed it back on, and he goes, "Hey, can I just pay you a different type of premium, and you can just show me how to use Retta and this type of peptide or that type of peptide?" And I got him on a call, and I'm like, "Listen, man, it's not a one size fits all answer. Like, hey, is Retatrutide a good peptide? Sure, I'm gonna say yes, but I'm not gonna tell you it's gonna be the right thing for you to use right now. Just like you said, a couple moments ago, it's a tool, and we got a toolbox, and we got plenty of tools in there. And what we do is we start working on your weight loss, and then whenever the time calls for that tool to be utilized, that's when that tool will be deployed. And, it really hit him. It hit something deep and he was like, okay, I like what you're getting at here and I want to do this long term. And it completely switched the way he thought about everything and thought about peptides. So there are some people who just need to be explained in the proper sense. And I just feel like they've been brainwashed by the influencer crowd and the social media and just the world. And, somebody like you or I needs to come into their ear and tell them, hey, like this is not the way it's supposed to be. And they'll understand that. But then obviously you have the mass who is not going to understand that.
Mhm.
And they just want to go take the easy way out. And they seen such and such lose a bunch of weight on, Retta or whatever they took. And they want to go and mimic the result. And, it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. A few people will understand, a few people won't. That's always the way it goes.
Uh-huh. Agree.
Yeah, it's a funny topic to talk about nowadays.
Yeah.
It's just everyone's talking about it. It's a new thing, you know. But like you said, you can't. I've said it to people too. Like people always ask me that as well. I don't want coaching. I just want Can you just have something separate where we can do that? I'm like, no, dude, that'd be a complete disservice to me and a disservice to you because there's no way I can just what am I just gonna rub a magic ball and just curate something mystical for you? Like, and hopefully it sticks and hopefully it doesn't make you worse and hopefully you like get the results. Like, it's a lot more complex than that. It would be a complete waste of your
100%.
time and a complete waste of my time, you know? Or just go
100%.
read a Reddit forum if that's what you want,
Right.
right? It's honestly,
It is what it is.
people want the easy way out. I mean, it's
We're
2026, right?
we're yeah, we're in a new time.
It's the day and age we live in, right? People want the quick results. People want things now. It's only going to get worse.
I agree, man.
AI's here now too, so people are going to think. I've talked about this before too. I've talked about this on the podcast before about you know AI being your coach. Well, AI is also going to affirmate a lot of the things you're telling it,
Exactly.
and it's gonna point you in the direction that you're
You
leading
can
it.
ask it the same question in 2 different ways, and it'll give you a different answer. It's
Exactly.
confirmation bias. Like, if you don't have a base fundamental of knowledge and you don't know what to ask ChatGPT, you're not gonna get the right answer. Now, I have no issue with somebody using it to write a caption, especially busy people like you and I. Like, if you just wanna go and write a caption real quick to, illustrate what you're talking about in a reel, or you wanna go and get help with a script, no problem. But, like, if somebody's going and completely coaching somebody and doing all their check-ins through ChatGPT, like, they're not realizing that it's just gonna confirm anything that you're saying. It's just depending on the way that you word it.
Yeah, you essentially the models from somebody who knows a little bit about AI, essentially the models that they have right now, they don't have enough back end information. So whatever information you're feeding it is probably information that you learned somewhere off the internet. So it will generally find those topics and pull that like confirmation bias for you. The only way it would be able to build you something like if it had all the medical doc behind reading blood work and analyzing blood work to the full degree, all the cross analyst patterns, all the personal lifestyle factors, all those things implemented as knowledge, only then would it be able to, accurately read blood work to a degree, but it would still need a human check because you would not
Absolutely.
just rely on a computer system to give you the accurate answer. I mean, most people who use AI for whatever, if that's writing articles, etc., they're always doing a human analysis at the end to make sure it's sound, right? So if you're just going on Chat GPT at home and be like, I have Hashimoto's. I'm 30 years old. I have Hashimoto's. What should I do? This is my lifestyle. This is my current pattern. I don't really like this, blah, 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 blah. It's just going to give you like a generalized it's just the same as going on Reddit and reading. It's a like I
Right.
just said, it's a disservice to you. Just like me just giving you a basic plan. That's the same thing. It's a disservice to you because we don't have all the back end information, nor does ChatGPT have all the back end information for it to give you accurate results, right? So
Right. Right. 100%.
it's as simple as just not having the data points to give an accurate answer.
Agreed.
But yeah, writing you like using it as a tool on your backend system to like read all your emails for you in the morning and give you a summary. Hell yeah. I mean,
Why
who wants to
not?
go through
Yeah.
100 emails in the morning, right? To do
Right.
your taxes at the end of the year, get all your taxes sorted for you. Why not? I mean, seems like a good time saved to me.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
Like putting stuff in folders and stuff like that, easy work.
Right.
So let's get back to things a little bit here. Got a little off topic, but we'll close it up pretty quick. I won't take too much of your time, and I really appreciate you coming on here to chat with me today.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, it's nice to chop it up with somebody who, like I said earlier, who has the same beliefs. I mean, I got most of my information from Justin Mahaley and Elite Functional Health, so been working with them for the past year, learning inside there. Great knowledge. I mean,
Mhm.
essentially everything you're talking about, reiterating. So it's cool to
Definitely.
see a like-minded coach in the space, especially in the bodybuilding field, because it has such a crossover, right? Like for those clients and for those athletes who are willing to do some of the little bit more out there things, like they do develop great progress points, especially even something I have a lot of my guys doing now is like tracking body temperatures. It's huge for me. Like it's a huge data point that you can accrue so easily every day. And it's like a really good look into metabolic health and thyroid health. And
Hmm.
I don't know why you wouldn't be doing it,
Right.
especially in a prep situation, as essential. Like you know when
100%.
to push things, you know when to pull back, you know when the body needs to be refed. This is going to drive progress further and further because you're going to keep your body out of that fight or flight state, right?
100%. Yep. Body temps are huge now today. And I know Justin's like the main person who brought that to the light. So,
Yeah, it's really helpful, really great insight into things as well.
uh
So if someone let's give something to take away from this today. So if someone is starting from zero, dealing with gut issues, I mean, I think you're the best person to give this advice because you've kind of been on the far end of it, extreme gut issues. So maybe they're on medications, maybe they're already doing something, but what would you recommend is a realistic first approach apart from like kind of the easy movers, I would say, like the
so
circadian rhythm and stuff like
we're
that.
putting the low hanging fruits aside. I'd always start with someone's gut lining because it's the first thing that's affected and the last thing that's affected. So supporting that, getting a GI map done, if they're in autoimmunity, getting an MRT test done, just making sure they have these tests in front of them so that they're not sitting here shooting in the dark and working with somebody, finding somebody who has the knowledge and mostly the experience of working these cases, especially on themselves. I think that's a big part is now that's not mandatory, of course. Somebody can have knowledge and experience working with other people, but I think working them on yourself is the biggest difference maker because once you have that hands-on experience with the gut, you can really understand what somebody's going through and you can really get to their level. Because a lot of times it's psychological and sometimes it's unresolved trauma and they need to just go see a therapist. And I can usually discuss that pretty quickly. If somebody comes to me and it's like they're just a head case and I get a good amount of background information out of them, I won't go ahead and start solving their GI map and all that until they go see a therapist. And I'll just continue on the low hanging fruits and keeping them in a
Yeah.
routine, things like that, until they can start resolving and situating these inner traumas.
Because you can't heal if you always associate with being broken.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. So that's one thing I would have to say that's a big takeaway is, resolving those unresolved traumas and testing and not guessing.
It's funny because my podcast is called Strength and Stillness, and we never really talked about that today, but usually we do a little bit deeper dive into like where my guests have come from, how they grew up, uh, like what pushed them into bodybuilding.
Well, mine is simple. I was just attracted to being big and strong and jacked since the age of 6. So I
Right.
started doing push-ups, curls, sit-ups, all that from the age of 6 and just never looked back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I seen somebody do a men's physique show around the age of 19. I was always a fan of bodybuilding, like Branch Warren and all those guys, watching them growing up and trying
Yeah.
to emulate them in the gym. And then played football and just really liked the weight training for football. And then found myself into men's physique, then found myself into classic physique as that division came out. And it was just like that basically. So
Right.
it's really just a passion. I love training.
Yeah, and sometimes we get into like the mental health side of things as well, right? So kind of wanted to just kind of crack open what you just mentioned there, but yeah, gut health protocols, parasite protocols, mold protocols, a lot of these autoimmune protocols essentially built up of largely the same components, little bit different in certain aspects. A lot of it's foundational in the gut, but these things will not heal
Right.
if your environment is not cohesive environment to heal in, right? If you're always stressed out, if work is driving you mad, if your partner is driving you mad, you're in an unhealthy toxic relationship, financial stress, etc. If you associate with being broken so much that you cannot get past that even on your healing journey, you will not heal. You will
Right.
be broken. You
Right.
will not make progress.
Right.
Like,
And a big
you
one.
have to believe it to achieve it. It sounds
Right.
so wild, it sounds so wooey, especially for people who are, like, low in the gutter right now and just like, "Well, I I try to believe it, nothing gets better. Well, you just have to stick with it. If you
Yeah,
do
what I
not
had
have
to
that
do.
mindset, it's not gonna get better. If you associate with being broken, you will be broken. It's just like an injury. If you associate with that injury for life, there's people out there who have a back injury, and that's their middle name. That's the first thing they talk about. That's why their back fucking hurts so much. Stop associating with it. Stop making that a part of you. Let it go and watch the pain go away. Watch these things start to heal, right? Along with the protocols, you're going to make huge progress. But the human mind is a powerful thing, right? A lot of the times our ego can get in our way, right? And that's a huge ego. Just thinking that you're broken, like thinking that's a part of your identity. That's your ego. Like you need to drop it, right?
And that's what I suffered with before, hiring Jason last year. And it got to the point to where I had to go in. So my dad has a cabin in northern Michigan where we're deer hunters. That's really, if you said strength and stillness, that's where I find my stillness is in nature. And I had to go and lock myself there for a whole month. I had to just go dissociate from everybody, and it was the greatest thing I ever did. And I'm actually gonna take a kid on a healing journey. Friend and family member of mine who's struggling with a crazy, crazy GI map, the craziest one I've ever seen in my life. Looks like colitis on paper, but it's not. Shows hypothyroidism on labs. TPO is normal though somehow. Some of the craziest symptoms I've ever seen though. So I am taking him on a little mini healing journey as I do start, kind of working my own GI map at the same time. And I'm going to show him how to dissociate and, get himself better.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes it's just about, yeah, just breaking free from the space, just getting a new place, creating that new environment, right?
Hmm.
But you got to be able to create. Sometimes you have to be able to create that reality for yourself, right? You
100%.
create your reality, you create your environment, right? Like it's a horrible day out here in the Pacific Northwest. It's cloudy, miserable, raining, but I'm loving life. It's a great day. I went to the gym. I'm not down about the weather. Things are
There you
good,
go.
right? You know?
I'm about to go to the gym now and feeling the same way.
Nice, exactly, right? You gotta have a positive mindset. Don't let things keep you down. Always think about the bright side. Gratitude, journaling, something every
Being
podcast we
grateful.
mention these things, but
Being grateful is the best thing ever.
yeah, we
So
have a
much to
lot
be grateful
yeah,
for.
yeah, there's too much to be grateful for. We all live a very good life, so despite, politics, despite the negativity you see on social media, try and focus on the positive side of things
Right.
sometimes,
Right.
right? Like there can be a lot of toxic things out there in the news and social media.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even worth your energy, right? Just
100%,
put
man.
your energy into something else.
100%.
Can be draining. All right, well, I think we pretty much covered this. I think people are gonna have some good takeaways. The only other takeaways, if I'm gonna talk about a little few gut supplements, I would say are key movers and anyone can use. Definitely aloe vera, inner leaf. That is great, great juice to have in a morning drink.
Every morning I
Anywhere
have
from
that.
1 to 4 ounces. It's a great prokinetic. I'm not huge on high fiber in a diet because most people have gut issues, so I like to focus on prokinetics, things like that. Aloe vera is my favorite, number one go-to. If you're not keen on that, you can also use ginger root. Just make sure it has the actual ferals or whatever they are. They're like 3, 6, and 9. I forget exactly which ones they are, but you can just get ginger root, boil it in water. You get the same prokinetic effects. That's a great mover. Glutamine, easy one to have in. I really like that one as well. Zinc carnosine, easy to get over the counter supplement. Doesn't have to be used with peptides or anything like that. It's just great for most people. Apple cider vinegar, most people have low stomach acid, so 1 ounce of this in the morning is almost a non-negotiable. So those are my number one
100%.
go-tos.
Yeah, and those are in the protocol every day. I pretty much do all that with some immunoglobulins and some lemon, and it's golden. I've been doing some ginger root tea with the prokinetics in it. I'll send you the brand in a moment. That's been a good mover. The aloe vera juice is my staple, my go-to. But yeah, no, pretty much agree on everything.
Yeah, honestly, if I lived, I'm not even sponsored by this company or anything, but if I lived in the States, I would use New Ethics products daily.
Yeah, that's what I got.
I love New Ethics. That's what I use for I use their Bioresolve in a gut blitz. I also use their Yeah, that's really good. And then their gut defender is really good. And then
I love their
their lactoferrin, the bloaties is really good as well.
the immunoglobulins. Yeah, those I use those every morning. So that's who I'm affiliated with is New Ethics. I completely agree with everything, man.
Nice. Well, do you have a code for them?
Baby Bird. Yep.
Nice. So if any of you guys want to hop on there listening from the States, Baby Bird, they're amazing supplements. They're really hard to get shipped here to Canada right now with the border things and everything. But if I could, I would. Primarily, I use like just basic over the counter supplements here or order them on. It's tough to get quality products here in Canada. Our healthcare system is a little bit different, right? And our Health Canada is very restrictive compared to like the FDA.
Okay. Makes sense.
Can't order DHEA, can't order certain supplements here.
Interesting.
All right, Jimmy, I appreciate you, my man. I appreciate having you on. If you guys love New Ethics, haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. Can use my man's code here, Baby Bird. And also, I just launched a new community covering all things peptides, hormones, blood work. So feel free to pop in there. It's a free community. Lots of insight drop daily. And we'll see you guys on the next one.